Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. There is no better place to buy a boat, and there are 3 ways to do it with them. You can visit them on Highway 411 North in Madisonville. You can check them out at madmarine.com, which you see on your screen, or you can check out the Downtown Knoxville Boat Show, which is coming in early March. Skeeter, G3, Hurricane, Aqua Patio, on and on and on. You name a brand of boat, chances are they carry it. That's why there's no better place to buy a boat than Madisonville Marine. All right, let's take a look here. News from the transfer portal. The orange is the incoming. The white is the outgoing. Jimmy Holiday, you knew he was leaving. He landed at Western Kentucky this week. Dante Thornton arriving from Oregon. Linebacker Juwan Mitchell, kind of a mutual parting of the ways. He left Texas that way. He's now leaving Tennessee that way. He entered the portal. Tennessee got a defensive tackle out of Arizona State, got an offensive tackle from Miami of Florida this week. Wide receiver Walker Merrill announced he was leaving a week ago. Well, he landed at Wake Forest. Quarterback Taven Jackson, a lot of people thought he might leave after the spring. He's gone ahead and hit the portal. There are a lot of rumors that he's going to go back to Indiana. I think he's visiting there. It's his home state. And then at the bottom there, I just put this in because Tennessee recruited this kid. He's back in the portal from Georgia, cornerback there. Entered the portal, I guess, yesterday or 2 days ago. Back with Ryan Callahan, who covers recruiting and portaling for GoVols247.com. You mentioned something. Let's just put it out there since we're talking recruiting. I mentioned Georgia there. They had some really horrible news this weekend.
Yeah, I've forgotten the player's name, but a Georgia offensive lineman and a recruiting staffer were killed in a car accident there this weekend after the national championship celebration. So sad story to what should be obviously a celebratory weekend for everyone involved at Georgia. So thoughts and prayers to everyone involved there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to beat teams, but you hate to see anybody go through heartbreak like that. Back into wanted to mention it. Back into the sports side of it, and these are going to have to be quick. I apologize to you, buddy.
Right.
We're behind already. We talked too much on Chris Lofton. Well, you can't talk too much Chris Lofton. Yeah. All right, here's the gist. You saw the 3 guys that are coming in. Receiver from Oregon, defensive lineman from Arizona State, offensive tackle from Miami. Which is the most important get?
It's a tough choice because I think all 3 of these guys could end up being starters or significant contributors one way or the other. But I would lean maybe Dante Thornton at wide receiver. They're losing so much with Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman. You've got some young guys there who might be capable of stepping in, but if you had to say, you would maybe go with Squirrel White, Ramel Keaton, Brew McCoy, the same group you saw out there. But beyond them, very little depth. Thornton could be potentially the best playmaker on this team next year if he lives up to his enormous potential. He just hasn't done it yet at Oregon. So I think potentially highest ceiling, what could impact this team the most, I would go Dante Thornton, but it really could be any of these guys. They all 3 could be in the starting lineup for most of next season.
All right, Taven Jackson. Most of us thought that if he left, it would be in the spring. I mean, look, it's Joe Milton, it's Nico Iamaleava. I think everybody knows those are the Milton's the favorite. Iamaleava is probably the heir to the throne. Everybody's expecting that. But Jackson goes ahead and leaves right now. Tennessee Joey Halsley had come out and said, look, we're not going back into the portal for another quarterback. Now Jackson's gone. Do they just say, Gaston Moore, you're our number 3. You've been with us at UCF. You're our number 3. Or do they now go into the portal to get a quarterback?
Well, for the same reason that Taven Jackson decided to go ahead and leave, I think they now have time to sort of figure that out. I think they might use spring practice to see what they have in Gaston Moore. They had him at UCF before leaving for Tennessee. They've now got him at Tennessee again. They've been through plenty of practice with him, but I still don't know if they really know for sure if he can be a number 3. Can they trust him in a game? So I think they might evaluate that after the spring, see what's out there in the portal. But the reality is I think they know it's going to be a tough sell. Someone coming in is going to know there's not a great chance to ever be a starter in the near future at Tennessee. So who's willing to come in and be a depth guy? That's a tough sell at quarterback these days.
Exactly. Linebacker situation. Tennessee added I want to say kid. He went on the Mormon missions. He's late 20. The elderly gentleman.
Keenan Peely.
Peely from BYU. And then Juwan Mitchell leaves. So did they know they were going to be sending Mitchell on his way, and that's why they got Peely? Or did they get Peely, now Mitchell's gone, so we got to go back into the portal and get another linebacker? Which way did they do it?
And you said it right, mutual parting of ways. I think they knew that was where things were headed with Juwan Mitchell, and so that's why they added Keenan Peely last month. So I think those 2 moves definitely related. So I think Tennessee likely done at linebacker. One reason I know some fans have kind of thought Tennessee might need multiple additions at that spot, knowing that they're also losing Jeremy Banks and Solon Page. I think Tennessee feels it's got some young guys ready to maybe step in there. Arion Carter, Elijah Harrigan in his second year. Those guys might be ready to provide some depth. Beasley and Peely, ideally the starters there, but they've at least got more bodies there, more depth than they had last year.
All right, and then Greg Sankey this week. I know this breaks your heart. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, came out. You know, he's talked to his coaches, and you know he's the most powerful man in college football. Especially with Kevin Warren now off to run the Bears, the Big Ten commissioner is leaving. He came out and said that he's not a big fan of this whole early signing period. When Greg Sankey says it, it usually means that it's happening. Is the early signing period going to go away? Are we going to go back to a February-only kind of a signing day in the future?
I think it may take some time. I think part of the problem is February might not even be a perfect solution in everybody's mind anymore. I think you've got to just see how all this plays out in the long run, see where public sentiment is among coaches and everyone else involved right now. But I think there is building momentum, at least, for that discussion to happen and maybe happen fairly soon, but it could be still years away before they formally do anything there. But I think the ball is at least starting to roll now. I'm personally glad to see Sankey doing that, as you kind of alluded to. I think there's too much going on in December for coaches. He's right about that. It's not just an SEC-centric thing. I think it's a problem for coaches across the country. So I think that conversation maybe gets started a little more in earnest now that he's come out and supported publicly.
Okay, very good. When we come back, Bob Hodge and Justin Hamilton have been waiting patiently. We will bring them back in here with us. Jimmy and Vince are still running around here, so we'll bring them in as well. We'll talk about Tennessee and the college football food chain. Georgia just won the national championship. What does that mean for Tennessee? Let's talk resources. Let's talk expectations. That's all next on the Sports Source.